Good evening to everyone. A warm welcome to the guest speakers, the panelists, and the esteemed teachers to a panel discussion on Back to School, integrating blended learning in the classroom and a walkthrough of the Colon's Infinity. Thank you so much to all for joining us this evening. I'm Shrikant Reddy, and I shall be the moderator for this session. Blended learning is a formal, personalized education enhanced by technology to give learners a voice and a choice in their mastery-based education in a flexible physical place at a pace partially determined by the data and feedback. Blended learning involves a combination of classroom teaching and online learning. It is now possible to craft student-centric quality teaching material involving modern multimedia tools. Electronic lectures, unlike face-to-face teaching, can be perpetually assessed by learners, and that helps in better understanding and modernization of concepts. With skillful use of ICT, content-rich interactive lessons can be developed that excite learners and transform the learning environment, making it student-centered and where the teacher becomes the facilitator rather than the knowledge provider. The NEP 2020 states that while promoting digital learning and education, the importance of face-to-face in-person learning is fully recognized. Accordingly, different effective models of blended learning will be identified for appropriate replication of different subjects, for different subjects, I'm sorry. So let's better understand from the members of the panel, the speakers, the guest speakers, on the integrating of blended learning in the classroom as our students and classes confidently get back running. Now, let me take this privilege, and it's my honor to introduce Dr. Neelam Kaur, our first guest speaker. Dr. Kaur is the principal of Akal Academy, Baru Sahib, and advisor, Health and Education, the Kalika Trust. Dr. Kaur has been volunteering at Baru Sahib for last 25 years in the field of education and medical services, including Akal Charitable Hospital, de-addiction centers, public health, College of Nursing, and Masters in Hospital Administration under the guidance of spiritual guidance of Rajpal Singh Ji, who is the president of the Kalika. Dr. Kaur, the first question is to you.
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you, Shrikant.
With a huge chain of, you're welcome, ma'am. So the question is, with a huge chain of schools that operate out of diverse locations, how have you ensured continuity in education during the pandemic? What will be your advice to schools now that they are reopening about integrating technology into their everyday teaching practices?
Okay, yeah, thank you, Shrikant, and all of the guest speakers and the panelists here. Thank you for bringing us all together on this platform. Like what you said about what happened in Akal Academies in where our focus is rural education. We are basically as a mandate, we are only operating in the rural areas, which are spread across 5 states in northern India. So before we talk about like a blended learning and how did we continue it, all of us know what blended learning is, but if we just have to recap that it is kind of, I think, the transformation which took place, where it just exploded and it created an ecosystem where we had to respond to the dreams and the aspiration of the learners. So access was very important, equity was important, and quality was important. As per the United Nations developmental goals, that is goal number 4, which is on academia. So these all 3 things are embedded into it. And it's my pleasure to share that with you that UNDP recognized our work in rural education, and we were awarded the prize from the United Nations in the work of education and in the academia category. And the prize went to, of course, our president, Honorable Baba Iqbal Singh Ji. So where the multiple learning pathways were we discovered, And we suddenly realized that the people are not looking only for the textual matter, but they are looking for the global competencies. They are looking for some creativity in teaching learning. So this combination where we have to combine a basic instructional methodology with the ICT, and where the combination is with the synchronous and asynchronous, and shifting into a school model, into a hybrid model. So this was a call in itself. And since the generation, the present generation, which is like the byproduct of all the digital revolution which has taken place, we call them as the Z generation or the Zoomers. They are so much attracted or distracted by the social media that getting them to disassociate from digital disturbance and grabbing their undivided attention towards class lecture is not an easy task. So what came up was like we experimented with something like a micro-learning. So creating lessons which are just like 8 to 10 minutes, or the content is like, and grabbing the micro movements. Micro movements are like you're waiting for something to happen, and we are trying so that the learning uptake is maximized in those moments. Like when we have a task, we are in a waiting, but we are not like we are not sitting for learning or reading, but we try to grab some moments where we can make some connection with the child. So for all this, while all this has to be, that had to be integrated into the daily classes, which was a con in itself, where the world is like dominated by the information. It's not a biosphere now, it's more of an infosphere, where we live as like in fogs rather than we live as a human beings. And the economics, the whole economics of the society, it is resting primarily on how we blend all this. So like some of the researchers, they also argued that the shift is from the physical form now to the things which we can interact virtually. That means now we are more like shifting into the robotic phase of learning, where it is dominated by artificial learning, it is dominated by augmented learning, it is dominated by mixed reality. So what is truly human in this? That's a big question which each one has to ask. Like in all this world of transformation, and the Z learners, their needs are different, they are distracted, how to have their attention focused. So then the question came up, like how to go about it. Since on 24th March, this was announced that there is going to be a lockdown. So that was the time period we have. And within, I think, 2-3 days, the call came from the president of the trust that is the time that these rural students should not be left behind. So we had almost like an emergency meeting with all our heads and the mega cluster heads. And then all of us, those who are not even competent technologically, but then we all of us like took this stand that this is the time when we have to be together. So the cooperative learning, that I think, which was not in the sense like we didn't realize that, but everyone started doing it. And then they started taking online classes by whatever mode they had. So most of the children in the rural setup, they had the mobiles, which were the borrowed mobiles of the parents. So the small lectures were prepared, small videos, WhatsApp lessons. At that time, we had not discovered Zoom or Google Classroom. So WhatsApp was the main delivery mode at that time. And as it went by, so then we discovered that why don't we try a flipped classroom method? So that means that we before we deliver a lecture, let's give a small like quiz to the child. Let's give him a little project. Let's give him some puzzle where we grab his attention before actually the lesson unfolds. And after the lesson, again, a little quiz, like a reflection kind of a thing, like what kind of learning took place. So this was again done. And here we used our learning management system, which is the institution's learning management system. So, so then we used that and we created a login ID for each student. So he could get into that and then he could view the lessons and he could also do the exercises which are related to the lessons. Maybe it's a small write-up, it's a small project, he's writing our e-portfolios. So all these things we try to integrate through our institutional LMS. So what happened in this transition? Like then we realized that this thing is going on for like quite some time. It's almost like 6 months, and unless we do not have structured assessment, this is going to lose its significance, the online classes. So then we tried giving them a small quiz, which first we did on Google Doc, and then of course on LMS through the creating their login ID. So first we give a mock test to about 10,000 students. And in the next go, we did it for 20,000 students. And then we started with a formal online test where we conducted for languages, English, Punjabi, maths, and science. So this is all MCQ based, and you will be surprised that we could almost like administer this test across 47,000 students. And in after one semester, the second semester, we delivered again this test. And this time we had about 60,000 students attempting this test. So which was quite a useful exercise. And it gave us a lot of confidence as well. Like we could address the challenge, which was like in front, like it just came up, like no one was prepared for this. And the best of, I think, best practices out of each educationist, I think it came out. Like this was a time, it was a challenging time, but what we could see across all schools in India, whether they are private, whether they are government, whether they are international, IB, Cambridge, I think everyone, they were trying to do their best. So the second thing which is important in this blended learning is the organizational readiness, where we have the faculty trainings, but the organization, whichever the organization is, maybe it's a government or the private, they are ready to take up this challenge. And when they support the educational institutes, then the meaning is altogether different. Then these individual efforts are we can see that effect of those individual efforts. So whatever method of blended teaching we use, it is face-to-face or a rotation model or a flex model or online, or it's a self-paced learning, I think the best benefit which I could see, and we did a little research on that, I think the best benefit we could see, it went to the compromised learners. The compromised learners who were a little shy, they were introvert, they had some learning disabilities. Here, the parents were also keen and they were watching in one way or the other the progress of the child, because the way he was interacting with his teacher. Maybe the parent is unlettered, but even then there was a supervision at home, some kind of supervision. So this happened that these children, they started performing better with what they were doing in a routine classroom. And maybe the flipped classroom model also helped that, because the notes were exchanged before the lecture was delivered. So and then we also try to do like something like proctoring, like when the child was sitting for the exam. So we were trying to capture those moments. So to maintain the fairness and the ethical practices, they should be implemented while the child answers. And all these things when were happening, and the satisfaction and the learning, it was not like it was a new learning every time. Every 6 months we had a new learning. And with each new learning, we try to improve ourselves. I think that is the biggest learning in this time, is that you are not perfect with whatever you think or whatever you do. And in this present educational scenario, which is changing so dynamically, so the organization, the educators, everyone, we all need to understand that we have to like look forward and learn from whatever mistakes or gaps we observed in the past. Most of them, so we have to be very, very open-minded, and then sort of like little bit take some risks also, to some which are of course guided, which are not very daring risk, but some kind of risk you have to take in the sense where we can optimize our learning outcomes, and which will not be a traditional method like we did. There's sometimes we had a quiz, sometimes we have an e-portfolio, sometimes we have these different kinds of formative assessments. So we were not following the summative assessments, we were following the formative assessments. So we are trying to grade the child, and through the LMS, because the LMS has those features of chatting and messaging and awarding badges. So we try to like digitally integrate all those whatever through Moodle this LMS had to offer. So in that way, even the teaching also, we tried even teaching them on this big blue button. So where daily interaction was like more powerful, though we could not do in our all classrooms across all academies. So we just had like 800 logins, which was very small number as compared to 70,000 we had. But we had e-classrooms in 1800 classrooms across our 130 academies, and through that, like the digital content which the publishers they share with us. So this was uploaded in both form, like in PDF, HD, and then the digital content. So the children could also access that and complement their learning by reading themselves. So wherever there was the parents were from economically very poor background, so we started something like a sharing mobile, or we gave in a small like a community कि एक छोटा सा गांव है, तो उसकी पंचायत ने जैसे थोड़ा सा लैपटॉप दे दिया, तो बच्चे सारे इकट्ठे होके for an hour or two they come together. So especially the children who came from background where they did not have enough means. So this was also experimented, and it gave us a new learning that people come together for a cause, and it was a beautiful experience to understand that. So all that, like our school became kind of a hybrid school and we want to continue the same practice right now. That's the future here. Like if we are on the weekends, on Saturday, on Sundays, like some of our schools are in a remote setup where we have dense fog or extreme weather conditions or something happening, disrupting due to natural calamities or some political or social events. So we can continue our education. So what has been our learning? We can continue that because it becomes for us more significant because we are in that setup. We are in a remote setup. So these schools or the future schools will be the hybrid schools. And I think we as the educators of this present time, I think we will be remembered by the history, like how we respond to this change. And it's a defining moment for each one of us. Though we may not realize that, but I think when people look back and they would understand like what all it happened and what mistakes we made and how we improvised. So this brick and mortar building, what we called earlier, was like our alma mater, and we cherish those moments. And I think no longer now, I think they are going to shrink to some extent, and teacher and student will interact more across the computer screen, and homeschooling also is going to come up, like which will be an accepted method of teaching and learning. And education, which we essentially thought is the core of humanity and a foundation of a prosperous society, much more than learning how to read and write. And this sudden outburst, what happened in technology, has increased the demand of more digital intervention and scaffolding. So pandemic has taught that life is unpredictable, and we need to brace ourselves and be ready to survive the fickle nature of our existence. And education has to adopt the new methods of blended learning. And this process of learning never stops. But the only thing is that we will not have an access to a real lab situation or a tactile learning or emotional exchange. But with the blended model, like some classes we can intersperse, we can call them, some we can give them wherever they are. I think that's how the things are going to come up in the near future. So we pray and we hope that this transition is not complete or absolute, as this will define the lives of the students and how their lives shape and add value by integrating the moral and the human values which the teacher teaches in her physical presence, the life skills that cannot be replaced by whatever we do with the technology, because in the simple words, man making, which it cannot be delegated to the machine learning. So thank you very much. That's all I have to say. Yeah.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing such wonderful thoughts with the August gathering over here. I'm sure all the teachers would have benefited, would have really, once we look back and now perhaps reflect towards at the events that had taken place. I think what pandemic has taught us positively is that it has allowed us to see what we can do best in the 2 months that had actually give. I mean, it was a surprise to all of us, as you rightly said, isn't it? And how we were able to make education inclusive and also try to understand the different kinds of learners. And you've mentioned also that we are not in the regular biosphere, but in the infosphere, isn't it? And this is a new word, I'm sure, to most of us. But yes, I mean, information is there. We are talking about 5G and so on and so forth. And also to all the students that were, I mean, students from the not so affording category, right? The students that the so-called poor students, how you were able to help them by sharing their, helping them share laptops and share technology devices. I think these were things that we shall take back. Most of us will understand how to further proceed when, in the near future, isn't it? So thank you so much for your thoughts there. And now the next question is to Mr. Anirudh Gupta.
Shrikant, yes, before we move to the next panelist, can we have a video, please?
Okay, over to you, Sumit.
Thank you. So I am sharing my screen. Please let me know once my screen is visible.
Sure.
I hope it's visible, Shrikant.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, dignitaries, welcome to this ceremony to announce the winners of the SDG Awards. The 4 main awardees in this category are NABARD. The second award in the subcategory of individuals or academia goes to the Kalgidhar Academic Trust. The Kalgidhar Trust has carried out rural education programs in large numbers of villages and districts, and hundreds of schools have been set up. Also, they have really worked closely with the district level officers and the government to bring about a palpable change in the education levels of the rural students of the state.
Can we have the winner, AV, please?
And congratulations, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you.
And to the entire Kalgidhar fraternity on winning this award. And it reflects a lot in what you've said. Yeah, working towards the underprivileged. And on behalf of all of us, again, congratulations. The next question goes to Mr. Anirudh Gupta. Mr. Anirudh Gupta is the CEO of DCM Schools, group of schools. Mr. Gupta is a leading entrepreneur, edupreneur, and an eminent writer and an enthusiastic social worker. He is an environmental engineer by qualification and has also done his master's in international trade and finance. He has attended several national and international conferences in the field of education in the United Kingdom, Australia, Finland, UAE, USA, China, France, Japan, and many other countries. He is also a regular speaker at various national and international forums on diverse topics such as industrial relations, school education, safety in schools, regulation and autonomy, maintenance balance, leadership and teacher development. Mr. Gupta is also a leading consultant on board of advisor for many educational and social organizations such as the IDEA Edupreneurs Community India, International Council for School Leadership, Indian Red Cross, Police Public Welfare Trust. He is also the trustee of the Hussainiwala Martyrs Memorial Trust, Government of Punjab, which looks into the development and beautification of historical monuments along the Indo-Pak border in Punjab. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
So the question to you is, importance of blended learning during the pandemic. How has your school integrated blended learning in the classroom teaching? And what are the common challenges faced while implementing blended learning? And what can be the possible solutions for the same?
Thank you very much. You see, almost a decade back, during one of the seminars and one of the educational events, I had talked about the fact for educational institutions that it's, digitize or perish. So I'm talking much before the time, when the pandemic had struck. So we had realized the importance of, integration of technology into education much earlier. And for the information of those few who are not aware of DCM, we are into our 75th year of existence, and this happens to be our platinum jubilee year. So, in 2015, we had, rolled out an initiative to ensure that 100% of our human resource, including teachers, admin staff, post-scholastic staff, they are IT literate. So we had engaged with a couple of organizations in India and abroad who had, taken up this, task to train our people, our teachers. So that thing, what we initiated in 2015 came handy to us when this, sudden lockdown was imposed on March 23. And I'm happy to share that within a week, from 1st April 2020, we had started our classes, virtual classes as per the pre-decided academic planner. So we could, kind of switch over from a physical classroom projection to a virtual classrooms, within a matter of 1 week. So I think earlier, like all the pedagogical transactions, were only in the classroom were limited to the content delivery and the assessments. But since we are in Industrial Revolution 4.0, the needs have changed, the expectations have changed, the aspirations have changed. If we have to really, help the students imbibe 21st century skills, from creativity to, critical thinking to communication. So we realize that, it's high time that, we switch over our base from the traditional classroom to the hybrid model. And this flip model also we had introduced, earlier. And, the thing at the back of our mind was that we are catering to a heterogeneous strata in our classrooms. There are children, who are grasping for more. They are brilliant with high IQ, EQ. There are children, who are kind of slow learners. There are children who are first-time learners. There are children belonging to affluent families. So it was actually extremely difficult, to cater to the personalized needs of the children during a physical classroom. So earlier, we used to have some extra classes on Sundays or holidays or after the school. So actually, this COVID-19, this pandemic has been a kind of blessings in disguise. The teachers who are camera shy, who are not very IT savvy, fine. So though we had trained them, but that application of that knowledge, was well realized, only when this COVID-19 take place. And like, Dr. Neelam was saying, the kind of resilience, the kind of adaptability the teachers and the educational institutions have exhibited, I think it is tremendous, given the fact that we are the largest K-12 segment in the world. So blended classroom, firstly, I'll say is nothing new actually. It has been happening, but not in the, in the form what we have seen it now. And now I think it's more become a necessity than an option. Fine. So it is here to stay. And I think, it's the best, a thing what could have happened to the students, fine, who are digital natives. We are all digital immigrants, fine. The teachers, the students, they are born with the mobile phones, the toys have changed, fine, the games have changed, fine. Whereas our teachers, they have not been trained for this kind of situation. So first and foremost, we were able to train our children, fine. And secondly, as I said that, the children, they relate themselves to technology much better than to anything else. So it was a good combination. And whatever we were not able to do earlier in a physical classroom transaction, we were able to do, during this, blended and a virtual mode, which is here to stay. So a lot of things, as I said, which were not possible earlier, catering to the personalized needs of the children. Let's say, there's a particular classroom setup and, other than the mainstream subjects, the children have different needs. Somebody is, more keen on robotics. Somebody is more keen on communication skills. Somebody wants to, adopt some other program. So after the school, or even during the, off day, to the hilt. So I think it's kind of something amazing. Fine, it has made the life of teachers and the school, principals, head edupreneurs, quite easy. And we were talking of the flipped model. Already many schools had adopted flipped model. And I think if we have to make the children independent learners, if we have to, kind of help them, have a high adversity quotient. They have to have a plan A, plan B, and plan C. Fine, like we were talking of problem solving skills or critical thinking skills. So I think, it's very important to make them independent learners, to make them self-dependent, to help them, decide on their own, learning plans, when some kids are, happy studying late in the night, some get up early in the morning, fine. So I think it's something amazing what has happened, and it is here to stay. And that is the only way, forward for the educational institutions. So I think it's not only important, it's I think extremely significant for the schools to adopt this blending and hybrid learning model, even if the situation normalizes. And flipped model is, I think, an excellent tool for the teachers to ensure that, we are not getting into the rote learning, and we are, making the child understand the conceptual part of the curriculum. And so there are a lot of good things we can talk. I mean, fine. So challenges were there, but we devised, as we are talking of critical thinking, it is not just applicable to the students. It's applicable to teachers as well as principals, as well as promoters also. So there were bandwidth issues, there were, gadget issues, parents with 2 or 3 kids having a single laptop or mobile phones. And in some area, especially the border villages, the accessibility was an issue. So what we did was that we transformed our buses into mobile classrooms. Fine. We had fixed up the LED screens and, provided internet and tutor in every bus. And we rolled out the buses which, as per the prefixed, calendar, used to go from village to village. And, then we also distributed some tabs and some mobiles. Fine. And, post-COVID, when the physical classroom or the schools were opened and it was resumed. So we designed, a plan which was kind of a bridge modules. fine, to give fillip to the learning gaps of the children. We didn't switch over, continue to the, next part of the curriculum. Whatever they were taught virtually during the pandemic times, so all the concepts and learning was reinforced. So there were a whole lot of, planning done into that. And subsequently, they were taken forward to the, further concepts and learnings. So I think, my only, word to all the teachers and the principals, let's not just, adopt to technology superficially. Let's, let the technology get embedded into your system. It might be virtual reality, artificial intelligence, augmented reality, proctored assignments. So all these latest coinages, teachers have to absorb. And, not only their knowledge, their application of all these softwares and, all these new technologies is very important. And that's the only way forward. So I think, many schools were using Zoom and, like Skype, but since ours were the Microsoft Showcase schools, so we started on this, our Teams, and we used Google, for assessment. So right from April 1st, 2020, we have been using technology, and every day is a new day. Every day some kind of a new challenge comes, and our team, like looks into it. And another thing, what has helped, is that the engagement of teachers to teachers, students to students, teachers to students. I was not able to communicate to my teachers, but during the pandemic and with this all kind of virtual arrangements, I was myself able to talk to the each and every member of our staff, motivate them, help them to redress whatever were their concerns. So I think blended model is, as I said, the pandemic has been a blessings in disguise. So blended model, flipped model, the technology is the driver, and the way the teachers, the schools have adapted to technology, I think hats off to everybody, and that's the only way forward.
Thank you so much, sir. In fact, what you've said, I think most of us have also faced the numerous challenges, and the biggest takeaway is obviously how a resilient human being is also able to fine-tune themselves in face of challenges. That's a wonderful takeaway. Especially, this is something that I've heard vis-a-vis aeroplanes, when passenger aeroplanes turned into cargo aeroplanes to keep themselves afloat. But I never heard, please do correct me, but I never heard of this very interesting thing of changing your buses into mobile classrooms. This is a revelation, I'm sure, a great takeaway for, and this is ingenuity at its best, isn't it? Yeah, and
I think the necessity is the mother of invention. And I'd like to add here another thing. We used all our ATL labs, all these 3D printers to, manufacture the face shields. Fine. All our nannies, our support staff, they were engaged in, all these, creating these face masks, those cloth face masks. So since there was a curfew initially for a couple of months, so our entire finance team went from house to house to deliver their salaries at the doorsteps of our people in cash. Fine. So I think we were able to use our human resource capital, also keep them engaged, keep them motivated. Otherwise, when they were sitting idle at home, not only teachers, I'm talking of the admin and the support staff. So we not only trained them, they kind of contributed to the society at large also.
Exactly, and these are wonderful takeaways, and I'm sure there is a lot of, while we had a lot of challenges, but these are those success stories, these are those wonderful stories that everyone takes away. Wonderful thoughts there. And also you were talking about how the blended learning was always there. I mean, we did have smart classes since quite some time, but then how the teachers have taken to blended learning, how Zoom and various platforms have allowed people to interact at different levels and at different times of the day. Yeah. So this is a wonderful takeaway again. And also how it became easy, courtesy your previous practices for the teachers to switch into blended learning. So
another thing, we started in 2016 BYOD program. This is 5 years
Hire
ago.
your own device.
So every teacher, it was mandatory for them to bring their smartphone or a laptop, and those teachers who were not able to afford, we provided all these gadgets to them on a very, very soft loans, or some of them we provided from our side. So because it's very important for the teachers to have their own gadgets. Fine. So there were a lot of such programs and initiatives which are very, very practical on ground, and I'm happy to say that children also learned a lot. Not many schools must have, heard of patenting. Fine. Our children filed 3 patents during the pandemic times. One was the UV-based floor sanitizing machine, remote operated. Fine. Then they designed one street lighting system. So a lot of such, research, because generally when the schools are on, you hardly have any kind of, cushion or space to put your mind in all these, research-oriented projects. Fine. So a lot of good thing happens, and I'm happy when I look back that we have really evolved, and we've been able to achieve what, had the things been normal, we might not have been able to achieve.
Yes, and that is one of the positive aspects of facing a pandemic. I mean, I just hope it doesn't come back, but yeah, these are positive. Thank you so much, Engineer Anirudh Gupta. Thank you so much, sir. Now, to the next phase of a session is the panel discussion. First, let me take this. It will be my honor and privilege to introduce the 4 panelists. Let me also announce that Engineer Pradeep Singh Gaur is not well and therefore will not be joining the discussion. We wish him we wish him a speedy recovery on all our behalf. Now, the first panelist is Ms. Varinder Paul Sekon. Ms. Sekon is a paragon committed for the excellence in the field of education, an experienced professional with more than 2 decades of experience in reputed CBSE institutions in various capacities. She has to accredit the Best Teacher Award by Bharatiya Vikas Parishad, letter of commendations and appreciation certificate from the UNESCO Club for the outstanding work in the field of education. She is a field trainer for the accreditation of schools. She is the project director of Ed Gyanmanthan Educational Services Private Limited, Bathinda, an educational consultancy with a vision to bring forth a new renaissance in learning through reforms in current system of education. She is the director of 4 schools in the Malwa region of Punjab. Ms. Sekon. Ma'am, you're muted.
Thank you, Shirika.
You're welcome, ma'am. The next panelist is Ms. Neetu Arora. Ms. Arora is principal at Silver Oaks School, Sushant City, Bathinda, a dedicated and resourceful education professional with the ability to create and monitor policies and practices that promote a safe learning environment. She believes in a culture that encourages continuous development of students and teachers. She is an academician, teacher trainer, motivational speaker, trucker, and a qualified yoga trainer. She dreams to bring revolution in the field of education and with the rich experience of more than 2 decades in administration, teaching, and training. Ms. Arora.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you, Mr. Shrikant.
Welcome, ma'am. The next panelist is Ms. Nirmal Mahna. Ms. Mahna is the principal at DPS Katwa, Jammu. She is the president of Global Edu Leaders Forum Core Committee, member of the International GA Forum. She has been awarded with national and international awards for outstanding contribution in the field of education. She has 37 years of fruitful experience in all over India as an English teacher, coordinator, vice principal, and principal. Ms. Mahna.
Hi, good evening to all. Namaskar.
Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you.
Ms. Praneet Sohal. Ms. Praneet Sohal is the principal at Shamrock School, Mohali, with a rich teaching and administrative experience of 30 years to her credit. Ms. Sohal has been associated with schools across the country and left a significant impact on the institutions and students placed under her tutelage. She joined Shamrock in 2002 as the founder headmistress and has witnessed and spearheaded the spectacular progress of her institution, making it a much sought after school in the region. As an educator, she believes there is an urgent need to prepare children for life, the challenges it has to offer, and empower them to inculcate the skill sets that would make them capable of carving their own niche in the world around them. The global education imparted must endeavor open up the hearts and minds of the learners and make them conscious of the beauty that lies in commonalities and differences around them, is what she believes. Welcome, Ms. Sohal.
Thank you so much, Shrikant, and good evening to all the panelists and Dr. Neelam for this being on this platform. I'm grateful. Thank you.
Now, the questions. The first question is to Ms. Sekon. Ma'am, what are your insights from a year of blended teaching and learning during the pandemic?
Thank you, Shrikant. First of all, good evening to all the panelists, Dr. Neelam, and other guest speakers. So I am directing a number of schools in the Malwa region, and since the past time it has been unprecedented. We never expected that whatever happened in past 1.5 years, such type of education was never thought of by anybody. So it was a sudden changeover from the physical classrooms to the online classrooms or to the virtual classrooms, and none of us was actually prepared for it. None of our professionals, even the teachers, although even in our institution, we give them lots of trainings, we give them hands-on of experience to technology also. The technology, they were equipped with the technology, but they have never used technologies to such an extent that it was total transformation of the classrooms only. So the hesitation to use technology and they had certain limitations to use technology, they were overcome overnight only. Because of the sudden need, they all changed the physical classrooms into virtual classrooms. And now when we talk of blended education system, all our facilitators, they had the content with them, which was actually meant to be taught in the physical classroom. They never had the content, they never had the resources, although they were being furnished with it from time to time. But they had that challenge, the content and the curriculum which we were having, that was not actually to be delivered online. It was offline teaching strategies they had. So it was the time of evolution when everybody, may it be at the school level or may it be at a group level, as Dr. Neelam explained, that they developed in the entire Akal Academy. So we had experimented with certain things. There was lots of thoughtful ideas which went into it, and how the content was prepared to be delivered online. The content was actually prepared to be delivered online now by the different units, all the educational institutions. There is the need of the hour says that the content which we have for teaching, it has to be centrally changed to such a platform that we can deliver it with the help of technology. The technology is a great boon if we use it in that manner, but actually none of us was using it in that way, that wholly solely the students were dependent on technology itself. And it took us phases. In the beginning, nobody accepted, neither the teachers nor the students. They didn't adapt or they didn't accept the system of online teaching. And hence, the response of the students also, although the students love to use technology, they are very happy to be on the mobiles, they are very happy to be on the laptops all through the day. But the response, if we say, of the outcomes, of the learning outcomes, was not very good in the beginning. But yes, eventually, as the time passed by, the acceptance from the teachers as well as from the students, it increased as the days passed by. In the blending teaching learning, it's very significant. Nowadays, it's becoming very significant, the blended teaching, and it has evolved in the pandemic. Now, what all is required for the blended teaching, which we didn't have when we had to when there was a sudden change that was which was not accepted by anybody. Nobody expected that this would happen. Now, we need different kind of things. There should be a specialized curriculum, which should be very thoughtfully planned and we should analyze that all the current practices which became a challenge to us to be executed in the online mode or in the virtual classrooms. So what is required from our end and from all the stakeholders which are responsible for providing the education, what we require is we need to analyze the existing culture, the existing system of education, and there should be some changes which should be evolved, we should be catered to it, and specifically in the field of evaluating the students. The evaluations which were done, although it had been in different ways, we tried the level best to give them MCQs, we tried the level best to give them monitoring their online assessments also. But what is required now is that if we want to take it as a long term, and this has to be a continuous process, what is required with us is that the assessment should be designed in such a manner, it could be higher order thinking skills which can be developed, critical creative thinking, and some of the assignments should be planned in such a manner wherein we can actually understand, like this is the child has actually understood the concept, because the existing evaluation system actually did not work very well with the online or the virtual classrooms, because when now the students are coming back to the schools, when they're coming back to the physical classrooms, we find that there are certain gap areas which are there in the education, because what we expected out of them, or how hard our teachers worked to deliver them the lessons, sitting at their home, sitting at their different places, but still there are certain gap areas. And now what the need of the hour says that we should devise such an evaluation system in which we can assess them from time to time in the virtual classrooms also. There are many advantages which we have got from this blended learning. When we talk of the physical classrooms, as ma'am also discussed, earlier speakers discussed, there was always dearth of time for certain things. But with the virtual classrooms, with blended learning, yes, because we were delivering them virtually, we were delivering them the lessons, and the slow learners or other things, the teachers could analyze them, the extra time could be planned with them, and that can be now also done, even if we have the hybrid mode now, since now the schools in most of the regions of the country, they are open physically, but still we feel that we can put certain things can be just reached out to the students with through the virtual mode only. For example, if you have the slow learners in the classroom, you need to give them some extra time, which we never found in the school working hours, or we used to curtail them from some of their activities in order to give them that extra time. But now we can always plan something new for them in that manner. So that can be done. I would say the classroom seat time in the physical classroom, which will give them more time to develop their creative, their own hobbies. As I said, they got many things patent, so they can go back to their own interests and explore their interests. And of course, they can brush on with a little bit assistance. They can also take the virtual assistance from their teachers, from their guides, from the facilitators, and then taking their help. Those who are interested, the children, those who have that creative bent, they can come out wonderfully with their ideas, and those ideas can be used by everybody. So that is one, because if it was the need at that time that we went or we switched on to the virtual mode, but now by choice also, if we go into the hybrid mode, I think it's a good idea. But similar this in the virtual mode or in the blended teaching, the worst affected were the little ones, the classes, those who were the first generation learners and the ones who just came to the school. They didn't get any emotional quotient or emotional touch of the teachers, and they did not have any feel of the school. So for them, we were just giving knowledge through the virtual classroom, or we were just giving them facts, but there was nothing what we call education which we were giving them, because nothing like education was given to them, because there are certain things which the kids are able to learn only in the peers, they are only able to learn when they are in their own age group. So those things definitely were affected, and they were very affected. And to fulfill those problems, or to fulfill these things, I think it will take another few months, but blended teaching would really be a boon if we take it as a hybrid mode of teaching, wherein we have the teaching in the physical classrooms also, and at the same time we use the virtual classrooms also. So in those places, definitely it is going to be a boon for the education sector, because whatever we wanted technology to do earlier, which I think all of the other speakers and educationists would agree, the amount till which, the extent till which we wanted to take the use of technology, we were not able to do it before pandemic. Even for the smart classes and other things, we had to force our teachers to use them. But now that hesitation has gone, and probably everybody is so well equipped with technology, and the teachers, they look for the resources, any new and innovative things for their students, and they're able to plan their lessons even in the physical classrooms so well, because they are so well equipped with the trainings, and that hesitation which was there with the staff members, that is never there. And it is helped in the professional development of our teachers to some extent, although it is not everywhere. There were places where the challenges were there, because they were not equipped with the proper sets. As Sir said, that there was one one mobile set was there, and so many had to work on this. And some places, even the teachers were not having the technology gadgets. They also faced those problems. But wherever they actually worked on it and they had this facility, they have really developed a lot. And I would say it was a great professional development for all our educators also, for each one of us. There were many things, and like the kind of webinars which we are having, and the people sitting at different places and experts sitting at different places are sharing their views, and we are all putting the thoughts together and learning from each other. This was never possible before COVID, because I don't think we had such webinars wherein we had this facility to exchange our thoughts, and we could take in the best practices from the other good educational institutions. So this is, I think, one thing which is our take on from the blended learning, because each one of us also have started, because earlier, once there is a training, or we used to go to other, we used to travel and then go, but now everybody of us, I think, we participate in this, and we learn a lot from each other, and we will be definitely passing this on to the students and to the generation to come, and hope that we build good future learners and the ones who will be the leaders of the country. And in a nutshell, it has been a boon, I would say.
Thank you so much for sharing such
a
positive outlook. But wonderful takeaways again, how you stressed about the first generation learners, the students who otherwise would have, the tiny tots, who would have otherwise gone and played with their friends, had a physical access to the teachers, never had it for over 2 years, and for about 2 years. And I'm sure that is what blended learning can do, give that access as well as balance it with the use of technology. So I think these are the wonderful takeaways. Also, your thoughts about specialized curriculum, and we'll have to wait and see what NEP's got in it when they bring out the syllabus. And also the evaluation, that is what NEP talks about, like measuring hearts and also the 21st century skills. Yeah, and as Collins, yes, we did our best vis-a-vis Collins Infinity to measure the students through the various parameters vis-a-vis HOTS and also Bloom's taxonomy. So this is something that, and also you reiterated to the fact that, yes, blended learning gives more time to the students. That is what Mr. Gupta also did say, yeah, with their teachers. So vis-a-vis blended learning, you got access to your students and you got access to your teachers and also the students. So great thoughts there. Thank you so much, Ms. Sekon, for sharing your thoughts. Now, the next question.
I would like to just chip in.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, Like I think Brinda talked about differentiation too.
Yes.
She was talking about different learners, like learners with different abilities, like low ability and average and high ability children. I think in this blended learning, I think one thing which is very positive is that the teachers, they do have time to plan and reflect. So I think in a routine classroom situation, it may not be possible, but in this situation, we can have customized assignments and assessments for them. Though we can also do like the differentiation will be in the ability, differentiation which can be in the instruction, and differentiation can be in the assessment. And if it is driven by the pedagogical leader, I think we can cater to those needs in the terms of instructional module or in the terms of their assessments and assignments. Yeah, thank you.
Exactly, ma'am. Exactly. And this is what technology does. Allows you to reach out to different levels of knowledge and in the pace of the students, isn't it? Yes. Yes. So thank you so much for also bringing your thoughts in. Now the next question is to Ms. Arora, Ms. Neetu Arora. The question is, given how the past couple of years have been, there might be some learning gaps during school closures. What are the strategies that you would like to share with educators that they can adopt to help students academically once they are back in school?
Yeah, good evening once again to everybody. And most of the things we are talking right now is about the lockdown time, when the schools were online. And now you have asked about the offline schools. And in our northern regions, most of the schools have been opened, and from past 1.5 months, we have been teaching our students earlier through the blended learning, but now it's all offline. The students have started coming to schools, and to help students, actually the teachers and the management, they need to come together. Now, again, it depends on the vision of the schools, what they look forward to. But what the research says that the impact of the COVID on all the students is almost the same. Like there are learning gaps definitely, because though we are doing a lot through the online classes, but it cannot be replaced with the physical presence of the teacher. I hope everybody agrees on that. And for students to settle in the school, that is more important right now than to see that how they will achieve academically. I think we need to execute the SPP. What I have devised in my schools is to first support the pupils to settle down in the schools, because they are coming back to school after a long period of absence. And not only the students, the teachers, they were teaching at their homes, and overnight they were shifted. As Vanindra ma'am said, the content transformation happened. It's not only the content transformation, the teacher transformation happened. Like there were the producers, there were the directors. They had to create the lessons, they had to create the content, and they had to take care about the visibility. They had to take care about the audibility. They framed one corner of the house as the classroom, and simultaneously they were attending the house tours also. So there were many things which teachers have also gone through. So first of all, the support, students and teachers both will have to see. As administrators and policymakers, we have to see for both the needs and then prioritize. See, when the students were coming to schools, they were sitting in the same classroom, coming into the same school, and they were getting the same education. But with the online classrooms, somebody had extra room to sit, but some people had only one room, one living room, where the other peoples are also moving around. So it exposed different financial backgrounds and different educational backgrounds of the parents as well. Some of the parents were able to help the students, but some were not. So there are diverse needs of the students. Some could do in the online classes, but some could not. We need to understand those diverse needs and then prepare our next classes. And my third P is the prepare. To prepare the students for the future disruptions as well as the future course of studies which is going to come. And my major concern, as I think, more than academically, I think the mental well-being of the students need to be taken care of right now. Our priority should be that. We used to talk about the all-round development of the children. We always talk about that. But in all-round development, we focus more on academics or the sports or the other co-curricular activities. But now a new dimension has been added into it, and that is the well-being of the child, mental well-being of this child. From past 1.5 months or 2 months, what we are facing is that the behavioral issues, the mental setup of the child and the teacher, it needs to be taken care of. Now, teachers need to address children's mental health issues and reintroduce them to school. Like Mrs. Sekho said, that the kindergarten students who had no introduction with the education, for them, the education was a screen and a person speaking through it. That was all. So now when they're coming to school, they need to build that connect with the teacher. Because if you have heard about Hawkins' I thou it model, it says, if you have made the connection with the child, with the student, half of a teacher's job is done. So that connection building, that bond building is very, very important. And teachers need to work on nurturing and bringing the students back together as a class. Because they were sitting separately, they were studying separately. So that bonding has also broken somewhere. It should be the priority right now. Not the year-end expectations, which otherwise we have, that academic scores, high scores. But right now, from my point of view, the main priority should be to settling the students in the school environment, taking care of their mental well-being, their behavioral issues. And once they are taken care of, they will fall into the track. We have been talking that there's been long learning gap, which will take months and year to cover up. But we are forgetting that students, the children, are very quick learners. Once they are on the track, they will cover this gap in no time. So it's like we have to work on the mental setup of the students. And it's teachers and students both are facing the anxiety and trauma, and with the uprooted schedules. You know what we are facing here, this schedule, this routine, it's not only changed for the students, it's changed for the teachers as well, because they were also used to getting up and start taking classes online. The timings were late, and students also got up and sat on the bed only, and they were attending the classes. Now getting ready and coming out of the home, boarding the buses and coming to school, they're finding it very difficult to fall into this new routine. They've forgotten the habits of coming to school and the other experiences. We have to bring them back into that settlements. And there can't be one size fits all system of recovery. So whatever happened, this pandemic, it was new. So whatever we'll be doing now, that will also be new. So we'll have to keep experimenting as per the needs of our students. For few things which I have jotted down is, first of all, my request to the teachers is not to label the children very soon. As the students are coming to school, but they're finding that students are not up to the mark. Whatever they have taught in the online classes, the students haven't done. So they have started labeling the children. This is the slow learner, ma'am. The child's handwriting is very poor. The child's memory is very weak. So it's too early to label them. These may be some apparent learning gaps, and it may be transitory. Once they are on the track with some catch-up programs or remedial classes, they will be on the track very soon. So just give them some time. But definitely we'll have to devise some different ideas to bring them back on the track. But prior to we introduce them to the remedial classes, some diagnostic assessments are very important. Why these diagnostic assessments are important? So that we ensure that students' needs are fully met. They are actually met. Otherwise, we devise a program and start implementing them without understanding the need of the students. So we actually need the diagnostic assessments for them. And with ongoing formative assessments, monitoring and evaluation, it will hone the approach. It will hone and it will help them to assess this knowledge gap, where actually the gap areas are. And then it will help them to bridge that gap in a personalized manner, in a nimble and data-driven manner. Whatever we'll do, that will be data-driven. We know through this assessments that where and what a child is, its requirements are. So personalized learning interventions are highly recommended. Personalized means it doesn't mean that it needs a solitary endeavor that to take a child, sit with the child and do whatever the child needs, but autonomous as well as collaborative learning. Both the things will have to go hand in hand. Then there are different strategies which we can, which we are using right now. They can be quick, interesting knowledge testing strategies are there. Like Mrs. Neelam, Dr. Neelam said, flipped classrooms. That's the wonderful way it goes. It is always a very interesting way and gives a learner a new way to look at the thing, the knowledge on the first hand. So they come up with their own ideas. So it's a wonderful idea all the time. And as Mr. Anirudh said, blessing in disguise. So blessing is disguise in a way that our teachers also became tech savvy. So now when there are slow learners, or I think Mr. Anirudh said, or Mrs. Seiko said, that when we have to take the extra classes, earlier we used to take out the time from the school schedule, or we had to think about the other ways. Now in the evening, we can go through the online classes other than the physical classes, or blending learning, which we are calling. And some interesting revision strategies we can apply. The concepts which we have already done online, instead of going through the entire thing again, we can do some smart strategies like 3-2-1 is the famous revision strategies. Then graphic organizers are there. Then quiz is another interesting way to revise a concept. And other thing, we tried passing the parcel, which is a famous fun game with the student. Like wherever the parcel stops, the teacher asks the student a question related to the topic. And for elder students, we can give them PPTs to make on the important facts. Visualization is also another way where students can revise the topic. Then KWLH is another way to know what the child knows. Then group learning, group and cooperative strategies are there. And the old traditional strategies like peer learning, the buddy system, the 4 corners. There are so many things, but teachers need to be creative in that. They themselves will feel energized and fresh by using these strategies, and the students will also find it interesting in studying. So during online, we all were taking trainings how we can engage the students. Same thing we have to apply in the physical classes, in the offline classes. Again, we have to find out different creative ways how we can put forward our ideas, our concepts to the students. Not that chalk and talk and lecture methods, but some different interesting games and strategies. And for the languages, we need to work on the basic foundational skills. Like for reading, we can do some pre-reading activities. Along with that, we can take up the listenings, and writing clubs we can introduce. Science, we can take up projects. Mathematics, I think it has the hardest hit in this time, and it needs to do a lot of work. Then we also try 5 questions a day, like whatever concepts the teacher is teaching. So just 5 questions about that topic, but every day different questions. So it gives a quick revision to the ones, even to the ones who have missed something. And when you find those learning apps, as a teacher, I've been into teaching for almost 16 to 17 years. It was an instant reaction that when we find a learning gap, okay, this student is not able to do this, so we quickly go for that, let's revise the whole topic again. But here, after coming on a position, what I found that there is a different approach if there's a learning gap. So we call it banded versus bandage. Sometime what we do the whole revision again, which is not worth. So we need, as a teacher, we need to think that whether this gap requires a banded, means the revision of that particular topic, or a bandage, the full revision of that concept. So this we need to see as a teacher, what my child needs, what my student needs. So in a nutshell, I would say that first and foremost thing is to build that connection, to build up that emotional quotient with your child. And then whatever you communicate, it will pass through. And for the school management also, I would like to say, people are sitting here, the administrators, that we need to invest in the high quality educator preparation programs, like the training programs, definitely need, which will bring the teachers to the normal routine. Moreover, it will update them with the new technology and new strategies, and also arrange some counseling sessions for them, because they were also going through a lot. For their mental well-being, some wellness rooms or counselors in the schools are required, and they need to support novice as well as the veteran teachers. We can't say that these are the old teachers, they don't need any guidance, or only the new teacher need guidance. Both of them need support. Both the stakeholders, the students and the teacher, they need to be taken care of at this time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And thank you for sharing the thoughts, the new interesting perspectives brought in there. Firstly, what you had said that, teacher and management need to come together to address the issues of the combined issues of the schools, isn't it? And also it is important for students to settle down after a long period of their absence and don't focus on their marks or whatever, but first allow them to settle down, give them that peace and leeway.
For the first week, I told my teachers, I'm not worried about the syllabus. I'm not worried about how the concepts are going on. I'm just worried about that they should love coming to school. They should be settled down first.
Exactly. Many people would fear going to schools once upon a time. Now I think with a lot of teacher education, that positive mindset created in the schools, many people love going to the schools, isn't it? Yes, and also understanding the diverse needs of the students. This is very important.
Very important.
And also the mental well-being of the students and the teachers, not just the regular, the novice teachers, but even the veteran teachers, even the teachers that have got experience, perhaps. And I'll tell you one thing. So when you said this, there was a commenter here in the chat. You may want to also see it. They said it is not just them; it is also the parents.
Yeah. For the parents also, we need to take some orientation sessions.
Yes.
They also have gone through a lot, because some were jobless, some were overworking, some were busy with their home responsibilities as well as with their working responsibilities. So they have also gone through a lot.
And they've been clustered also, set into a room, or the entire family for 24/7 into many number of days. Thank you so much for opening up these issues in such a platform. I'm sure there are a lot of takeaways for everyone over here. And also let me read from the chat box. We need to work towards building their skills rather than labeling them. And that is the point that, some of the teachers have taken away from, will be taking away from this session, from your thoughts. Thank you, ma'am. Now, very quickly to the next panelist, Ms. Mana. Ma'am, there is a lot of focus on student-centered personalized learning, giving the learner more autonomy in how they construct knowledge and apply it. In today's changed education landscape, how would you direct a child to take ownership of their learning?
Good evening, everyone. Thanks, Shrikant and the entire team of Collins. I think most of the points have been covered by all the speakers. I will not take much time. I'll come to the point where you are telling me that during this tenure, this COVID, this pandemic time, everybody is trained because everybody has become tech savvy, whether it's a teacher or the student or the parent or this thing. And whether it's a person like me who was absolutely zero in technology. Let me tell you this, I want to admit here in your forum that I used to hate this technology. I never used to believe in the technology, but I'm the person, simultaneously, I'm attending 3 different workshops. You will not believe this. I told you earlier also. Yes, we are talking about a child to take ownership of their learning. Now, this ownership, junior children, small children cannot take, let me tell you, because a child who is in class 5th to 6th upward can take the ownership of the learning, but otherwise the onus is on the teacher only. We are talking here about the blended learning. So what is blended learning? It is based on the flip-flop classes only. When a teacher is giving some task to the child, he's doing the research work, then he is discussing all these points with the teacher, and the teacher is guiding, of course, this thing. Now, otherwise, I think in the future, I can see the scenario where maybe I'm not 100% sure, because most of the places, the schools have already opened. But there are certain schools, like in J&K, we are still closed, and we are taking online classes only. So now the responsibility is on the child. Of course, the senior children, they are supposed to go through whatever the teacher is giving the task. Responsibility is now more on the parents rather than the child, because you see the children, as you are aware, that so many things are there on the internet, and unless you check or you have a control on the technology which is there with the child, it becomes very difficult for the child to focus on the education or the academics. So responsibility and ownership the child has to take, because if the child is not going to be responsible for his own deeds, nobody is going to be responsible for his deeds. Because after all, who is going to be the loser? The child is going to be the loser. But at the same time, we have to focus, we have to, time to time, we have to interact with the child individually. It's going to be the, when they come to school, the teacher goes to the class and teaches, and the entire class, and it becomes, the work is over. And next day, whatever the work they have done in the previous day, and then she's discussing. But here on the online, every child has become the priority for us. Every teacher is now on toes to understand what this particular child is doing at home, because we have to interact with the parents. Time to time, she is giving a call to the parents, giving a feedback that the child is not attending classes, and in the bargain, the parents are telling, no, the whole day the child is on the mobile and is attending the classes. Not understanding that the child is not on studies, he's not attending classes, but he's playing games on this thing. So though the onus is there on the teacher, but ownership the children have to take. And I'm sure it's a responsibility of the parents as well as the teacher to keep guiding them, keep interacting with, keep giving them the positive strokes, because unless you make them understand the repercussions and the results of their deeds, they will not understand. After all, they are children. So, quite a number of things and the projects we are doing in our school also, where every child is supposed to be accountable for the work, for the academics, as far as the basic requirements and activities which are there. So, it's very, very, very important then it becomes for a teacher and the parent to come hand in hand to work for the betterment of the child. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Just to summarize your thoughts, I think we are getting a lot of messages also. Yes, and again, this is from Ms. Daliwal, and she says it has to be collaborative effort of teachers, parents, and students. She's reiterating that point on point. And yes, I mean, great thoughts there. First of all, thanks to COVID, everyone is now tech savvy. Yeah. I mean, there are personal stories that everyone can narrate. In the smallest of hamlets that I've seen, people are, using technology, using a cell phone to actually attend classes. There is no good reason why a student can say that, there is a hartal or there is a ban, and therefore I'm not attending a class. In Delhi, it's for about 1 week, they've announced holidays, courtesy the environmental issues that we have. We've got a lot of pollution here. And, but students, they don't get to miss their classes, courtesy what we've learned through the pandemic. And also-
It's a blessing in this sense. sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Shrikant. It is blessing in this sense. Now, in extreme weather conditions, we need not to do the holidays for board classes when we need extra classes, board exams, and then this strike and all which you mentioned. So now we can take classes.
Yeah, exactly.
Education will go on.
Yeah, it will go on. Yes. And the power is with the teachers and the students. No complaints. And obviously, K5 students, the onus is on the teachers to help them better their understanding of topics, and then personalized interaction with the kids by the teachers, and also I think by the parents and the peers, right? And finally, we must encourage the students to be accountable for the work they do. And this is rather important, but obviously, ma'am had said, that must be taught from the lower levels itself. So great thoughts there, and thank you so much, ma'am, and also to Ms. Daliwal for sharing your thoughts on chat. Now, the next question, or the final question is to Ms. Sohal. And ma'am, the question is, blended learning is firmly rooted in empowering teachers to provide personalized and competency-based instruction, variety of tools at their disposal. Would you guide teachers on how they can effectively integrate blended ways of learning when they are back to schools?
A very good evening once again to all the worthy members, and thanks to Colin for giving us this interactive platform. Yes, as everybody spoke, we literally plunged into the field when COVID struck. And before, as mentioned earlier, there were schools who were still struggling, but everybody was looking for a way. And within a week to 10 days, solutions were found. So I look at COVID now with 1.5 years back. I think it has been the greatest period of learning and resilience for our students as well as for our teachers. I was so happy to hear Neetu talking so much about teachers, because I think at the heart of the entire learning is the teacher. And sometimes we are so taken up by the children that we forget that it's all flowing from the teacher. How can we forget that? So really, the credit goes to all the teachers who put their struggling with the sick families. At the time, there were children falling sick and everything happening, but still everybody was learning. I have seen during this period that the maximum workshops were attended by the teachers. Just recently, lately, Ma'am was saying that she's attending 3 at a time. We've never done that before. So the teachers are so empowered. I personally have not attended so many, webinars, what I was doing now. So the learning has been immense in terms of knowledge, in terms of technology, ways to blend technology, which was happening. Technology was flowing already there into education and into all other fields, but it was just taking a little longer. And many people started saying that everything is changing, education is not. But then it happened suddenly and accelerated changes. And so everybody grew with it. Now, as we have learned so many ways of imparting beyond the traditional classroom, we went into what we call the blended learning, the flip learning we've all been speaking about, which encourage children to be creative and go beyond the classroom. Our time period grew. There wasn't a bell that rang at 8 and a bell that closed at 2. There were teachers who were working in the evening. We had a special class, and we had some children who missed classes. We had sent videos to them. So it was continuous flow of learning. And now, as we are coming back, my greatest fear is that we don't lose all this. We must retain this and not get into our comfort zone all too soon. So right now, most schools are in the hybrid model. And I would like actually this hybrid model to continue for a while, so that we are so deeply rooted in our learning. Once it becomes so permanent, I know we won't lose it soon. So I'm waiting, let it carry on for 1 or 2 months more, the hybrid, and our teachers will be so thoroughly comfortable with it that they won't leave it. Now, as we come back to the hybrid model we are talking of now, and of course, within a few months, we'll be back into the regular classes. Now, how do we take this forward? All that we have learned, how do we take it forward? For one, what I have really seen is how the classroom extended. How our assignments and whatever projects we gave, and in the evening we were talking to the children, how are you doing it? The teacher was reachable. And that reach of the teacher to all her children must be retained even when we get back. That time frame has to be broken. And I think we've broken it, but we need to retain that my time is not over. I can answer a child even in the evening. I can respond to a parent anytime. Another thing which I really liked about these classes that we took on classes, online virtual classes, was how we entered homes. Initially, as one of the worthy members said, the teacher was camera shy. She was. But we took some lessons and we said, you're lovely, wonderful people. Why should you be shy? You'll be soon okay. And fortunately, we had mothers sitting. And I'd like to tell you here, the art class had the mothers sitting there because they wanted to learn all the craft. They wanted to learn these things. So it was wonderful. Of course, there was another side to it where some parents really helped the children. Some parents could not, but that I think happens everywhere. But on the whole, we got to know our parents better. Rather than just a PTM, we entered homes, we saw what homes look like. We understood where is this child coming from. Where the child is studying and he has his grandmother lying at the bed behind him and he's helping her also with some things that she might require. It made us understand that a child is not merely a student, he is a member of a family where he also has some responsibilities. A 10th class child is at times taking his grandmother or mother to the hospital. And he would say, I can't attend this class. And he would come back and take it from the learning solutions that we have. So these things made us more empathetic towards our children, and that empathy must stay. We must not be curt and firm and very, with our children. We have to understand that their life also has a lot of turmoil, which we as teachers have to understand. It's not just our lives, it's their lives too. We generally think children have nothing to do. They only play and have fun, but they have responsibilities. That was another take which I took from these classes that I used to enter into. Now, when our teachers come back, very important is that the learning methods that we have adopted, even those must stay. Collaborative learning does not have to be in classes. Beautiful teams can be made on our systems and children can go and work there. The shy ones come out very well behind a screen, which sometimes in the classroom they don't. And that's the time we can. Blog writing, documents, children go to these and they love writing there and pasting their work. Creating Padlets where children put pictures, put their artwork has worked so well for us at Shamrock. For every occasion. And this year at the end when we were creating our magazine, I thought we'll have nothing much to write about. It was all, online. But when we started writing that, we realized we had so many activities we had done. How did we do them? But they just happened because the Mother's Day came and we said, now we can't let the Mother's Day go. We need to do something. So everybody thought of different ways to do it. Something like any event that came up, everybody was thinking, now we've been doing it like this, but we need to do it differently now. So creativity was so enhanced. Wonderful solutions were coming up. We broke traditions. And we always spoke about, we've been doing it this way, let's go ahead. But no, now we said we can't do it that way. So what else should we do? But we can't let something just pass by. I mean, what kind of teachers are we? We miss an opportunity. So things were coming out. The creativity is something our teachers should not lose. They should not go back to routine. That is one thing. If you are creative, you are tech savvy, you have created a mass of your own material on your systems. You are able to create videos and share with your students, even in online classes. Those who have missed classes due to sickness or any other, and we are able to share with them. then we have continued using the blended model. And that's something we must not be able to say this child was absent, he missed my lecture, so that's his problem, not mine. Make a video of your class, send it across to the child, put it across. These are the things which, if we understand that we have learned, and we must keep and carry on growing in this. That's all I have to say, and I would really, as brought out by Miss Manha, I am not very tech savvy myself, and I was saying, Collins has brought me to the wrong platform. I'm not one of those. But during this period, my teachers taught me. I said, come on, how do I do this? How do I do that? And they were so good. Similarly, when we started training our teachers, we have people of all calibers, which happens anywhere. And we formed little teams. And the younger teachers, who are by nature and by age, obviously more competent, they were helping our senior teachers, and we knew nothing about it. Because there is, so you don't want everybody to know it. So it was happening in their groups. We were not even aware. We just saw it when it was all done. And they were ready to take up the challenges. So immense teamwork came out of this system. There was very little of pulling each other, but there was a lot of strength, which happened behind the scenes, without anybody being aware of it. But everybody came out stronger. So that's another take, which I think has very strong teams where we count on strengths of each other, not on weakness, was something that we learned during the COVID. With this, I thank you, Shrikant, and all the members for this platform, and to our guest speaker, Dr. Neelam. Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was muted. I muted myself. Thank you so much for sharing your wonderful thoughts. In fact, that is the strength of a team, isn't it? Peer learning. In fact, even at homes, how many kids would have taught their parents technology during the pandemic? Yes. So that is what we understand of peer learning. That is what we understand of collaborative learning and teamwork. And also, there is someone who dearly agrees with you when you said, she says that actually stressed on the definition of creativity. Creativity is intelligence, having fun. Yeah. So a lot of thoughts are here on the chat also. But quickly to sum it up, firstly, credit to the teachers who, in such difficult circumstances, it was a tribute, I think, in your initial lines there, when you in such circumstances had never backed down, but had stayed put. Yes, they also have families. They are also human beings. They have multiple things to do. But then they never forgot their work and the kind of endeavors that they had to do. And continuous flow of knowledge and learning happened during the online and virtual classes. But now you wish for the hybrid model and how it can involve the parents and the teachers. And you also understood the parents better, because parents are a party to the whole education process of education. And once upon a time it was missed, but now parents are again a party courtesy the pandemic and the online and hybrid learning methods. And also you emphasized about the understanding the children better, isn't it? Empathize with the child, understand that they also do a lot of work rather than just sitting and playing and learning. Yeah. They are also human beings with a lot of responsibility, and don't be curt and firm, but be more human, isn't it? Great thoughts and a wonderful message. Thanks for the lovely thoughts to all the panelists. Now,
Srikant, I would just like to say a little. Give me a minute. Yeah, thank you so much. So, actually, two ideas which you put up beautifully. One is talking about, I think the other speakers also talked about that, about the mental health they were talking about. Yes. The emotional quotient. So we talk about emotional quotient as adjustment quotient, or give it different names. But I think the need has come up that emotional quotient has to be built in. And there is now the recognition scientifically that there is also a spiritual quotient. So spiritual quotient, which is called as the transformational quotient. IQ is something with which we are born with. Emotional quotient is we learn how to like know about your emotions and how to like react to the different situations. And the spiritual quotient is the transformational, like the innate virtues which are embedded in their souls, in our souls, how to bring them out. So a teacher, a talented teacher like the ones we have today with us, I'm sure the way we have heard them, each one understands the importance of this, and more so during this time. And we did a little bit of social emotional learning with our kids online. And then with that, we did like kindness tree, mood meters. So we put up all these activities where they could understand their own emotions, about their own moods, and how they can be kind. Like ma'am was talking about empathy. I think these skills, which are not in the traditional setup, we need to blend. And thank you very much, Serena, for bringing us all together.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And thank you so much for your wonderful thoughts, and also the panelists for the wonderful ideas and thoughts. Now we have heard the thoughts about blended learning. I would request the esteemed panel to join us in the launch of Colon's Infinity, a blended learning solution for schools for classes 1 and 2. Infinity for classes 3 to 8 was launched last year. Over to my friend and colleague, Mr. Sumit Bharadwaj, to take us forward with Infinity.
Thank you so much, Srikanth. A very good evening to all the panelists and all the participants. Now, I'll be taking you through the blended learning solution, which is Colin's Infinity. And for this, I would like to share my screen. Srikanth, please let me know when my screen is visible.
It is now. Please go ahead.
Great, thank you so much. So with the growing demand from the schools due to the online schooling and NEP emphasizing the need of blended learning solution, it was imperative for us as an organization to dive into this. After the success of the wonderful series followed by the digital content known as Digi Suite, and with an aim to support the schools, Colin's Infinity was launched. Now, in the esteemed presence of the panelists and the participants, we would like to launch Colin's Infinity for grades 1 and 2 and relaunch it for grades 3 and 8. Now, let's watch this video. All right, so we spoke about blended learning, integration of technology into classroom setting, its benefits, flipped classroom, creativity of the teacher, etc. Now, the video that we saw in the beginning of the panel discussion also focused on bringing a positive change in the students, and Collins Infinity is going to help you a lot in this. Now, we would like to introduce you to a platform that aims to fulfill what we discussed just now with our esteemed panelists. Collins Infinity, a blended learning solution in its pilot year, was adopted by schools all across the country. It catered to the educational needs of classes 3 to 8, and we received an amazing feedback on its features, and we also incorporated major recommendations given by the user schools, given that the education landscape is fast changing in terms of requirements, and our prime objective is to provide the end user with a seamless teaching and learning experience. Now, as a publisher, we have adhered to the guidelines laid out in the National Education Policy 2020, be it our print resources or our digital resources. Now, what's in it for me? Now, it is important for the teachers to understand what's in it for them. It is important for the students to understand what's in it for them, and for the parents as well as for the schools. As per, if you look at this, we have ebook with multimedia resources. Starting with the subjects, we have English, main course book and grammar. We have environmental studies. We have mathematics, science, social science, computer science, and coding. We have ebooks with multimedia resources. We have got chapter and lesson plans. We have calendars in which the teachers can plan their events and classes. We have question banks from which the teachers can prepare their assignments and assessments. We have the diagnostic and remedial, as well as we have in-depth reporting, which enables the teachers understand as to how the children are progressing and what are the learning gaps, and how the teacher can work with the students to bridge those gaps. Also, we have learning resources like 3D model, we have interactivities, we have slideshows, PDFs, games, etc. Now, let me walk you through the live platform for all the stakeholders, be it teachers, students, parents, and admin. First of all, I'll share, and I'll start with the admin, the teacher log. So please let me know once my screen is visible. I have stopped share and reshare. That's how the teacher login looks like. You can see that we have quick links, teaching related links, as well as student related links. Now, the first link that we have is revisit the last lesson. So in case if the teacher has taught something in the previous class and wants to go through it once again with the students, the teachers can click on this and they can revise the previous lesson with the students. The second feature, which is start a new lesson, as the name suggests, this is to start a new lesson, and for this the teacher has to upload the timetable. Then the teacher will be able to start a new lesson. Then we have calendar and planner. So how calendar and planner works, you can see that we have an option of adding event here. Shrikant, I hope this area is visible, the add event. My toolbar is not covering this. Yes. So you can see that we have a feature of add event. You can click on this and you can enter the title, description, the class for which you want to create it for, and you can select the color according to your choice, and then you can schedule it accordingly. And there is one more feature, which is of notifying the parent. Like in case if you want one notification to go to the parent, that can also be done. Now, the next feature that we have in this is related to the assignments. Like in case if the teacher has assigned something to the to the students, so that assignment can be seen from manage assignment. And now you can see here that we have the time, okay, from 1st November to 16th November. And we can see here that these are the assignments shared by the teacher with the students, and the students have submitted these assignments. So out of 24 students, only 14 students have submitted the assignment. Now, in case if the teacher wishes to check the report, the teacher can click here on this, and you can see that we have the summary report, which says that 58% students have submitted the assignment, and 42 are yet to submit. You can also see the question-wise report. Each question has its report created. Then we have the student test report, level of difficulty report, level of classification report, and the like. Now the teacher gets to know about each and everything that the child has attempted. The student also gets the access to all these reports, which enable the students to find out the gap in the learning. The other thing that we have here is okay. So now we have chapters and topics, which is to view the ebook related to the chapters. You can click on chapters and topics, and now you can see that we have the chapter content, which talks about the available ebooks related to this particular class subject English. Now we have all these ebooks, so you can click on any of these to view, and you can show it to the students. Now you can see that we have this ebook, which is the replica of the main course book, and this ebook and this complete platform will help you run your classes offline as well as in an online mode. All you have to do is, in case if you are taking an online class, all you have to do is share your screen and teach the students, like I am showing right now. So you can see that we have the replica of the main course book, which can be used for the reading as well. All you can do is, with this zoom button, you can increase the size so that it is visible to all the students. Now you can see, you can scroll down, and everybody in the, be it offline class or an online class, they'll be able to read the text. The next thing that we have after this, we have the chapter plan as well as the lesson plans. Now the chapter plans are the detailed chapter plans that you can have a look at from here. Now let's say taking care of maybe this chapter I want, and starting from the learning objectives, you can have a look. The general objectives to pre-reading activities, while reading activities, post-reading activities, and all the concepts that we have in the book are beautifully explained. These sections enable the teachers to find out as to how they can go ahead with a particular concept, and it also talks about the resources required. In case if the teacher wants to have a printout of this, you have this printout option, and you can take a print of this. Now, in case if you wish to see the lesson plan, you can go to all chapters and click on lesson plans. The lesson plans are the subset of a chapter plan. You can see here that we have these lesson plans. You can click on the preview button to view the lesson plans here. And you can see that we have pre-reading activities, while reading, and post-reading activities. So this is something that the teacher can have a look at in terms of going ahead with the lesson. And if the teacher wants to plan any of the lessons, all the teacher can do is, the teacher can click on this button and click on plan. The moment the teacher clicks on plan, it's all drag and drop. Now, we talked about the question bank. Now you can see that we have the question bank here.
I think your screen is...
Okay, just a second, Shrikant. Let me reshare the screen. Is it visible, Shrikant?
Yeah, now it is.
Yes.
Sorry for the inconvenience. Okay, so now this is the question bank that we have, and you can see that the questions are tagged as per the Bloom's taxonomy. We have questions based on understanding, applying, remembering, and if you move to the next page, you will see understanding and creation as well. Just let me go back. Let me show it once. Okay, so we can go to this. Now, you can also see that in case if you wish to create the questions or upload the existing MCQ template, you can do that from here. In case if you wish to create the assignments or the assessments, you can go to generate and create your assessments and assignment. Create is to create the questions and the tests. So now here you can see that we have, is it visible, Shrikant?
Yes.
Is it visible now?
We've got the summary report visible.
Just a second, let me go back to this. Okay, so I hope it is visible now. So you can see here that we have questions related to the Bloom's taxonomy, and the teachers can assign these questions to the students as and when required, and they can assess the students' learning. Now, there is one more thing I would like to tell you. In case if you want to see the digital assets, you can go to the digital assets and see the animations, interactivities. You can see the audios and the other digital resources as well. You can select your classes from here. Let's say class 2 English, and I choose the second chapter, which is under my belt. Okay. Now you can see that we have the animations, interactivities, we have the PDFs as well as the audio. Now you can click on this preview button to see the animation here, and you can play the animation and show it to the students. Shrikant, is it visible?
No, the animation window is not yet visible. Yes.
Okay. Now?
Yes.
So you can click on the play both in an offline as well as
I wake up at night feeling thirsty. I want to get some water. I start looking for my slippers under the bed.
Wonderful resources. You can click on pause and press escape to come out of this. And in case if you wish to listen to the chapter audio, you have this feature. Click on the audio button, and now you can see that we have the audio facility here. You can
look at the picture carefully. Listen and follow the instructions. Write your name on the left corner.
Now you can play this audio and do this activity as a listening activity, and you can have certain questions ready beforehand. And you can once you're done with the audio, you can give the questions to the students and ask them to attempt it. So and this will enable you to assess their listening skills as well. Now the other thing that we have here is, let me go back to the home screen. Now, when you talk about creation, we discussed that you can create your own content. You can go to the managed content and create any kind of assets that you want to share with the students, be it your videos, animations, interactivities. You can upload the digital content from here. You can see that you have an option of creating the digital content in the form of a link, resources, or an assignment. You can, let's say, resources. You can upload these files here. You can see that we have doc file, PDF, text file, PPTs. We have Excel files, MP3, MP4, and 3GP support. So most of the formats that we have are available in this platform. All you have to do is upload and click on click on agreeing to the terms and condition and upload and share it with the students. That's how you can create your digital assets. In case if you wish to create your lesson plans, that can also be done from here. So you can create a lesson plan simply by going to all chapters and go to the lesson plan. Now you can edit the existing lesson plan as well as create your own lesson plans. There are two modes that you have in this in terms of creating the lesson plan. You have a quick mode as well as an advanced mode. So you can use either of the modes to create the existing, to create the new lesson plan as well as edit the existing lesson plans. And in case if you wish to create a test, is something that you can do from create test. We have seen the creation of the assessment earlier, and you can create your test and upload and share it with the students. Okay, so that's how we can create the subjective tests as well and share with the students and assess their learning. Now, there is one very, very interesting thing that I would like to show, and that is reports, the extensive reports that it generates. Now, if you look at here, we have the summary report, which talks about the summary of the examination conducted, the assessment that you have conducted. You can see that this is evaluation 2, and in evaluation 2, you can easily measure the progress of each student. Now, you can see that this student, Anu, is up by 2.67%, which means the child has shown progress, and these two students have not shown any kind of progress. The performance is going down, and the teacher can click on the name and find out the gaps in the learning. Now you can see that we have this thing, and then you can also see that we have the mark sheet. You can click on the mark sheet to view the evaluation 1, evaluation 2, and evaluation 3 mark sheets separately. And in case if you wish to download the annual report, that can also be Then let's say this is for 2021. You can click on any of these to download. You can also see the application usage report. This feature will enable you to find out as to how long the children have used the platform, whether they have actually studied or not. So you can set the date from here. So let's say I want it from November 1 to, just a second, application usage report. Okay, so yeah. So I can set November 1 to November 16. And when I scroll down, I see that I have these two options. One is web and the other one is mobile. Mobile stands for the mobile app. Web stands for the web browser. And you can see that this is the usage by teacher, student, and parent. You can see that student has got 111 visits, and the total time spent by the students is 2 hours, 42 minutes, and 7 minutes. You click on student to know more about it. You have these grades. Let's say I go to this and I click on this particular student to find out as to what the child has learned. Now you can see that each resource has their time mentioned. Now you can easily make out as to on which resource did the child spend time on. Now you can click on this and you can see that 28 visits on dashboard, subject, student subject area. You can click on this to know more about it. It will also tell you as to when the child started and when the child ended the usage. This is what we have in the teacher ID. Let me quickly take you through the student portal. And okay, I sign in with this. Now you can see that we have the student portal here. So here we have the subjects: English, EVS, grammar, maths, social science, and science. And these are the recent activities which the child has performed, and these are the new activities. To know more about the activities, the child can go to the activity center and can get the access to the leaderboard. Leaderboard talks about the place of the child in the class, any kind of upcoming activities. In case if the child has not completed any activity, which means the pending activities will be reflected here. The completed activities will be reflected under completed. Report card can be seen from here. All the activities that the child has undertaken, that can also be seen. Teacher assignment. And in case if you wish to see all the reports, remedial reports of the child, that can also be seen. And teacher assignments can be seen from here. Like in case if the teacher has created an assignment and shared it with the students, that will be reflected here. So now you can see that we have these two assignments. The child can click on this to attempt. Now the child can upload the file. It can be a JPEG or a Word file and share it back with the teacher. The child can also see the timetable shared by the teacher, which enables the child to know as to at what time the teacher has created a particular event. The child also gets the access to the learning tools. You can see that from here. We have the learning tools like Mathometer, tables, mathematician's timeline, science timeline, and periodic table. The child can click on any of these. So let's say I click on periodic table, and now we can see that we have a periodic table with all periodic elements. You can click on any of these to know more about the periodic element. Now you can see the name, pronunciation, the name origin, what exactly it is, and how do we use it, the symbol, atomic number, which means all the information related to that element will be there in front of the child, which the child can prepare and be updated with the information. Now the child also has the access to the reports, like we saw in the teacher login ID. So the child can also see their own report. So this is what we have in the teacher login, the student login. Now let me quickly take you through the parent login, and after that I'll take you through the login which we have for the admin, the school admin. Just a second. Let me quickly take you through the parent. Let me sign out. Now the parents are also updated as to how their child is progressing in the school, how and what the child is doing. This is a parent ID. Now you can see that the parent also has the access to what the child is doing. You can click on this, and when you are landed on this page, you can click on overall report. The parent can click on overall report, and now the parent gets the information that the overall performance of the child is 54.7%, and these are the notifications on the right. And if the parent wants to see the subject-wise report, that can also be seen here. So the obtained percentage is here. In terms of English, it is 48.6. In terms of grammar, 73.1. Maths is 43.7. So the parent can click on the report, and the parent can see how the child is progressing. Just wait for, yeah. So here you can see that we have this student Mayank, and assignments were 2, completed 2, in progress 0, which means the child has completed all, and this is the report, right? So this is what the parent gets to see in terms of their child's progress. Now I want to show you the admin login, which has the complete control. The admin has the complete control, as well as the admin has the access to create and delete the users. Okay, now you can see that this is the admin dashboard. We have the current class going on. So whichever timetable that the teachers have created will be reflected here. Okay, so you can see that the current class is by this particular teacher. Any kind of upcoming class or completed classes will be reflected here. The admin can also see the usage report by the parent, by the student, by the HODs, principals, as well as the teacher. The admin can click on view all, and you can see that we have the similar report available like we saw in the teacher portal. Mobile and web, you can click on web to see the browser usage. Now you can see school admin, student, teacher, principal, parent, and HOD. So all the stakeholders are visible to the admin. So the admin can simply go to any profile and check as to how and what they are doing. So the admin doesn't have to ask the teacher about the child's progress. The admin can access everything here, like we were talking about integrating the technology in teaching. So this is something that will enable the school to have ICT in the best possible manner. The teacher mapping can also be done from here, like in case if you want to tag a particular subject to a particular teacher or any kind of class, that can be done from here. The syllabus can be uploaded from here, and from the administration, the admin can promote the students from the next grade. Manage user, which means the teacher can, the admin can update the existing user as well as create the new users, and the students can be moved from one section to another and one class to another. And the admin can also send the notification to all the stakeholders. The teacher can also send the notification to all the stakeholders. So you can see, let's say there is a holiday in the school tomorrow, the admin will go to create notification, and from here the admin can select user. On the left you can see that we have these users. The admin can select the users and then add them and share. Let's say I want these users to be added. Add. And now the admin can update the subject, decide the date as to on which date they want to share it with the participants, or with the students or the teachers, and they can write their message and then send it to them. All right, so this is what the admin has the access to. Now let me quickly take you back to what we were discussing. Shrikant, please let me know once my screen, the PPT is visible. Just a second. Screen share. I hope it's visible, Shrikant.
Yes.
Okay. Now, this platform comes with the two apps. One is for the teachers and the other one is for the students. The teacher app is known as Collins Infinity Teach, and the student app is known as Collins Infinity Learn. So let's learn about Collins Infinity Teach app quickly. Hello everyone. In this video, we will learn about how to install and use Collins Infinity Teach app. First of all, you need to go to Play Store and type Collins Infinity Teach in the search option and tap Enter. Tap on Collins Infinity Teach and install. After installing the app, tap Open and wait for the app to launch. Tap on Allow Infinity Teach to access photos, media, and files on your device and wait for the app to open. Tap on Sign In option to log in with your username and password. It will now show that your application is configured. After you sign in, you need to select the classes assigned to you. After you select the class, tap on the download button to download the content of that class. It now shows that the content for all the subjects is being downloaded. After you download the content, tap on Launch button to launch the class. Now you can see that the teacher has the assigned subjects on the left. The other features like lesson plan, digital assets, test, and chapter content can also be accessed from the right. We also have an option of switch class in case you want to move to the other class assigned to you. When you tap on the lesson plan, you will be able to see the lesson plan as well as the chapter plan. The digital assets can be viewed by tapping on Digital Assets. Please make sure you tap on Click to download to view the content. Test feature enables the teachers to assign the tests to the students. Tap on Test. The content can be accessed through the app. Similarly, we have the app for the students, which is known as Hello everyone. In this video, Learn app. The students, in case if they do not have the laptop or a desktop, they can access everything that we have on the platform with the help of one single app. The teachers can assign their tests to the students with the help of app. They can create the tests, they can manage the assignments, they can share the content with the students. So this single app is a one-stop solution for all the teaching learning needs. At last but not the least, to perform all these very tasks and to be able to be very effectively manage the entire learning management system, Collins team will support you throughout this journey, be it any kind of handhold support that you need in terms of teacher onboarding, admin onboarding, student onboarding, and parent onboarding, any kind of training support that you need in terms of the platform or any other professional development program. Collins Infinity team, Collins Learning team will help you out in that journey. And to book a demo and for the further queries, you can write to Collins Infinity at happycollins.co.in, or you can contact your local Collins sales representative now. So that's all from my side. Thank you so much for your patience. Thank you so much for listening to me. Now I'm open to questions. Over to you, Shrika. Thank you.
I'm just waiting for any questions they might ask. So thank you so much for your wonderful presentation, Sumit. Neeta ma'am says it was a wonderful program initiated by Collins, and there were a lot of messages on chat thanking us for inviting them to be a part of this wonderful program.
Definitely.
And to all the panelists and also the guest speakers, both Mr. Gupta and Dr. Kaur, we thank you so much for being here. And Ms. Soul, Ms. Arora, Neelam, Nirmal ma'am, and also Mr. Gaur, who is not here, our sincere gratitude, and also Ms. Saikon, our sincere gratitude to all of you for having been here through the 2 hours, sharing your ideas and thoughts, and therefore benefiting all the teachers. Thank you so much, and we wish all of you great and a wonderful teaching ahead through the journey. So thank you so much, and wish you all a great time ahead. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful evening ahead. Thank you.